Is Nintendo about to absolutely wreck award season? What's the direction of gaming on YouTube? And Mario RPG? It's the LP Podcast. Hello and happy Tuesday. Today is the day of the week where I get to talk more than I play Nintendo games. Two of my favorite things in the world, and I'm so excited to share with you today everything that's happening in the world of Nintendo, because there is an absolute huge amount. We'll start here first with the big news at the end of last week was that Mario Kart Wave 6, the final wave, has came and gone. It's a great wave. If you haven't had an opportunity to play it yet, I highly encourage you to do so. But on the off chance that you're just curious about what it entails, you get the Piranha Plant Cove from the Acorn Cup, hailing from Mario Kart Tour, the mobile game. Also added was the Wii Daisy Circuit, of course, from Mario Kart Wii. Then you have Donkey Kong Mountain from Double Dash on the GameCube, another Mario Kart Tour game, putting in Rome Avanti into the Acorn Cup. And then again, Mario Kart Tour, it would seem, is extraordinarily well represented with Madrid Drive. Mario Kart 7 delivers upon us Rosalina's Ice World. Super Mario Kart, the one that started it all, brings us Bowser's Castle 3. And then finally, the Wii's Rainbow Road. It was a great cup. It was a great tenure, truly, for Mario Kart 8 specifically. Goodness sakes, the game has been getting updates now for nearly a decade, which is incredible. Anytime that you can produce a game or any sort of IP and consistently dedicate time, resources, energy to maintaining or even improving upon it, I think that's a great idea. You know, we are lucky as fans to have gotten this much care into Mario Kart 8, and I think it bodes well for the future. What is Mario Kart 9 going to look like? I mean, that's a topic for another time. Moving on, Retro Super Mario RPG bonus is perfect for Super Nintendo fans. Yes, Mario RPG releases later this week, Friday in fact, and what's more is it's bringing back a relic of a bygone era. You see, I grew up in the 90s, back in an ancient time where you would rip open the cardboard boxes housing your game cartridge, and not only would that tasty little electronic treat be waiting for you, but also a pamphlet. A little piece of paper, a guide, if you will, telling you how to do relatively menial things like press the A button, the B button, or the start button, but it's a certain amount of nostalgia that these things apply, and the fact that Super Mario RPG, again, a remake from the Super Nintendo era, an era of cardboard packaging, tearing, and, of course, the instruction pamphlets, bringing that back, I think, is a great idea. Unfortunately, however, it is something that you have to purchase separately. So, I don't know that I myself will be getting one, but I hope that you do. Moving on, what else are we going to get but another Super Mario Brothers movie? Last week, we talked about the Zelda movie. It was huge news. It remains huge news, but kind of under the radar, it was announced that Universal has confirmed the Super Mario Brothers movie will not only be getting a sequel, but will become a franchise in and of itself. What does that mean? That means we're not just getting a sequel, but we're getting multiple sequels. We're talking Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, 3, 4. We're talking spin-offs, all right? Donkey Kong movie, a Princess Peach standalone adventure, Luigi's Mansion. I'm excited. You know, the Mario movie was a financial success. No disputing that. There are some people, however, that had issues with it. They called it too childlike, and I mean, to them, I'd say, what do you, I mean, it's Mario. What did you expect? It's a family-friendly IP, and we love it for that reason, all right? I do think that the Mario movie stayed true to the source material, all right, while also deviating ever so slightly in a way to make it more appealing to a broader audience. And if Universal can continue to do that same sort of thing, to utilize that same sort of formula with different parts of the characters we found in the Mario movie, then I think that, well, I think good things are yet to come. Also, in that same vein, the Mario movie has its Netflix streaming debut on the horizon, December 3rd, so just under a month now. But Undoubtedly, that was a huge contract, one, for Nintendo, right? If Netflix is going to buy the rights to stream your property, it's going to fetch a pretty penny, but two, also a major find for Netflix. Because while this podcast is predominantly centered around gaming, specifically Nintendo gaming, I will briefly touch on how Netflix is not necessarily on the rise any longer. So their ability to net these top tier movies like the Super Mario Brothers movie is probably something they're going to want to do continually. There were talks of them with Nintendo doing a Legend of Zelda series. Obviously, those talks have fallen through with Nintendo now producing a movie with Sony, but it's something to keep an eye on going forward. Another thing to keep an eye on is the fact that Super Mario Brothers Wonder continues to sell like friggin' hotcakes. 4.3 million units sold in its first 2 weeks. Obviously, now we are a little bit beyond this, so undoubtedly more has been sold. But still, the fact remains that it is the fastest selling Mario game. Incredible job. It's a great game. I've been playing it now with my wife ever since its release, and we've been having a great time with it. I myself, a relatively tenured Nintendo gamer, right? I grew up with a console. I slithered out of the womb with a friggin' Goomba in my hands. Not really, but you get what I'm saying. Anyways, my wife didn't necessarily grow up with the same experience, and Mario Wonder has been able to satisfy both of us for what we need. You know what I'm saying? For her introduction to 2D platforming and my, I don't know, trip through nostalgia land. It's great. It's fantastic. And if you yourself haven't given it an opportunity to shine just yet, I highly encourage you to add to those 4.3 million units and buy yourself a copy. Moving on, speaking of millions of units, millions of members, Nintendo Switch Online has now topped over 38 million members. You see that? There's literally dozens of us. Incredible. As of September 30th as well, so this is relatively old news. However, it was only recently reported. And this not only includes Nintendo Switch Online, but it's the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. So the people that are paying the extra bit of money in order to garner access to things like the Nintendo, not GameCube, excuse me, Nintendo GameCube, great, but the Nintendo 64, the Super Nintendo, the emulators on it, as well as the booster pack for the aforementioned Mario Kart 8. Either which way, Nintendo's having themselves a fantastic 2023, and this is but yet another delightfully vibrant feather in their cap. Speaking of feathers in Nintendo's caps as well, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom won Nintendo Game of the Year at the Golden Joystick Awards. And you can scroll down here, we see all of the winners for Golden Joysticks in the various categories. It's interesting to me that they have a specific Nintendo Game of the Year category. I mean, I guess I can see why they would want to do that, because they also do break it down for PC, Xbox, PlayStation as well. But I would have figured, to be honest with you, that Tears of the Kingdom would have placed in some of these categories. And it probably did place like top 3. But more so than that, I would have expected them to win. You know, what do we think here? We have Best Storytelling, Best Still Playing Award, Best Visual Design, Studio of the Year, Best Game Expansion, Best Indie Game, Sea of Stars, no surprise there. A number of these I feel like Tears of the Kingdom could have competed with, if not outright won. But the Golden Joysticks are not the only awards on the docket. Of course, we have the Game Awards, which voting is now open. So if you wish to contribute here, please do so. We'll take a look at some of the nominees. Game of the Year. What is available? 2 Nintendo games. We've got Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Fantastic to be recognized so early on in its tenure. And, of course, Tears of the Kingdom, which is my vote. I'm not here to tell you which way to vote. I'm just here to tell you my thoughts and opinions. And I voted for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, partly because I've only played 3 games on this list. I've played Resident Evil 4 as the third one. Never played any of these. I did play the original Spider-Man 2 way back in 2001, 2002, something like that. Way back in ancient times when dinosaurs were twerking in the boneyard. And I was hunting for my dinner with a loincloth and a stick. I was also playing Spider-Man 2 on my GameCube. But that's neither here nor there. What is here or there is the neat fact that 2 Nintendo titles are nominated for Game of the Year. And then 2 remakes as well with Spider-Man 2 and Resident Evil 4. Interesting year for video games. If we head back out, I don't think that Tears of the Kingdom or a Nintendo game specifically is nominated for everything, but both Mario Wonder and Tears of the Kingdom are in for Best Game Direction, which is great. Best Narrative sees no Nintendo representation. Final Fantasy 16 makes a way into there, which is neat. Heading onward into Best Art Direction. Again, both Nintendo games. Seemingly, they are competing against one another in virtually every category. Best Score in Music does, however, see the omission of Mario Wonder. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom's score in music is honestly underrated. It was something I was guilty of when Breath of the Wild first released. I considered the ambient tones and sounds of the game to be maybe not necessarily as, for lack of a better word, epic as I had perhaps hoped. Because I grew up, as we mentioned, in the 90s. I was in love with songs like Gerudo Valley from the N64, Song of Storms, Hyrule Market, little jingles and ditties that were, relatively short, but impactful nonetheless. And I didn't feel like I had that same sort of audio experience with Breath of the Wild. That being said, a lot of the same tracks from Breath of the Wild did make their way into Tears of the Kingdom, and my opinion has changed. I don't know if it just took time for it to grow upon me, or for my own gosh darn brain to mature, or just dumb luck. Either which way, the case is I love the music in Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and absolutely think they deserve the nomination, if not the win, in that category. Here's one I want to talk about briefly as well. Best Debut Indie Game, Pizza Tower, stuck out to me. Not a game I've spent a whole lot of time in, but it was a game with a very quick peak, and then it was gone. I feel like I haven't even heard of it since its first month on the scene, but nonetheless, it's the only one of these 5 indie games that I've actually heard of, which is too bad. I mean, a big part of that is my fault for not necessarily being on top of the indie gaming scene, but that's something we'll talk about a little bit later in the podcast as well, so stay tuned. Best Mobile Game, very interesting. Nothing there particularly standing out to me. Best VR AR, not something that I can play. I cannot mess with VR. I will vomit everywhere. I will collapse in a pool of my own fluids. It will be a scene. It's horrible. I'm getting nauseous thinking about it. Let's move on. Best Action Game. Now, this is curious to me that Tears of the Kingdom is not in here. Perhaps they have Action Adventure? They do indeed, and of course, Zelda is there as well as Survivors. Star Wars Jedi, another great game. This is a tough category, in my opinion. I never played either of the Alan Wake games, so I can't give too much of an opinion, but the other 4, pretty strong competitors. Of course, being the Nintendo and Zelda fanboy that I am, I'd have to give the nod there, but you can see why that would be a difficult question for some people to answer. Best Fighting Game, Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl. Best Family Game sees 2 Nintendo games and then a Sonic. This is a fun category. And it's always interesting to me because this is not the first time that I have, read through these nominations, but it is the first time I've covered it from a journalistic perspective. So allow me to kind of talk through my own feelings here. Best Family Game means for the best game appropriate for family play, irrespective of genre or platform. Now, Pikmin 4 is a family game. I can kind of see that, right? It's a cute game filled with cute characters. It's not necessarily the most difficult thing in the world if you stick to the main objectives. However, you're commandeering an army of little sentient souls, sending them to their deaths as bad as drowning, burning alive in some fashion. And what happens when you're successful? Oh, you're eliminating all of the local fauna. Every last thing you see alive, you kill it. Truly family friendly. That being said, I would probably vote for Pikmin 4 or Mario Wonder. Moving on, Best Sim and Strategy sees Pikmin 4 again, with also the first representation from Fire Emblem. Now, this is a game that I dropped. Not physically. I mean, maybe I probably have. Goodness sakes, I've got fingers like a friggin' arthritis-ridden 80-year-old. But I started playing Fire Emblem Engage when it first came out, and I made my way through 70% of it. And then Tears of the Kingdom came out, and so on and so forth, and I've kind of ran out of time, and I would love to go back and finish it, just because I do love Fire Emblem games. But this is a tough one for me between Fire Emblem and Pikmin 4. I would probably have to go with Pikmin 4. Now, that's not to say that I outright love Pikmin games more than Fire Emblem games, but maybe I do. Maybe I do. Of these two games specifically, though, I think Pikmin 4 is the stronger competitor. Best sports racing, not something that I have any amount of information on. Best multiplayer, Mario Wonder. Now, this is another one they could have put Pikmin 4 in as well, and they decided not to. But Mario Wonder is a great addition. I mean, part of the whole appeal, part of the celebration or cause for celebration when Mario Wonder was announced and then released was that you could play couch co-op. And even more that, you can play online in some capacity, all right? It's not like your standard online play, but it's as much online play as Nintendo usually even offers in its titles. And a lot of people have taken advantage of it, what with the cardboard cutouts and things like that. But my wife and I specifically, every time we've played Mario Wonder, either of us, we've played it together. It's been exclusively a multiplayer experience for us. So no wonder, no surprise, that's the only one I have in my eyes as far as the winner of Best Multiplayer. Moving on down the list, Best Adaptation. Okay, this is a fun one. I have only seen two of these. Obviously, I've seen the Mario movie a few times, and I also watched the series The Last of Us on HBO. Great series, but I'm going to have to give the nod to Super Mario Brothers because the expectations here, especially given the flop of the first Mario movie in the 90s, there was so much to lose. All right, Nintendo and the greater Animation Illumination Studios could have had egg all over their faces, but it performed amazingly. Not even well. It far exceeded anyone's expectations, and I there's no way that I could vote for anything else other than it. Most anticipated game. This is an upcoming game. None of these are particularly high in my priority list, but Tekken's always a cult classic. I have fond memories of playing Tekken at Chuck E. Cheese with greasy marinara sauce stained fingers. Oh, I should go back sometime. Moving on, Content Creator of the Year. Where am I? Well, I guess they forgot me. Clearly, I'm in the same category as all of these individuals, don't you know? Anyways, Best Esports Game, not necessarily something I'll have any information on. Esports Athlete, definitely even less so. Esports Team, nope, can't tell you. Best Esports Coach, got nothing. I'm sorry. These are not the things that I have in my purview. And that wraps up the Game Awards. So, what are your thoughts on all of those categories? There's a number of them that could probably be cause for some dissent and a number of my own opinions, and I'd be curious to hear what you have to say. Moving forward, we can talk about Super Smash Bros. Stopped getting fancy character cutscenes due to leaks, says Sakurai. This is too bad. This is something that was released in an interview last week or in the last 7 days, that as new characters were getting added to Smash Bros., they would get a neat little cutscene. I'm sure you're well familiar. And eventually that just kind of went away. Apparently that was because of people leaking the character's release or the character's addition to the game prior to the formal announcement. So one thing I think off the top of my head on that is I just don't agree. Like, leaks are gonna happen, but that shouldn't stop you from, producing the best possible thing that you have in mind, for lack of a better phrase. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wish that they would have continued. I wish that they wouldn't have stopped at the 37 trailers, but hey, that's neither here nor there. And speaking of Super Smash Bros., Bandai Namco named Nintendo-focused team Studio 2 and Studio S. Bandai Namco has worked with Nintendo on a number of titles. You can see here in the headline that they've worked together on Smash Bros. And Mario Kart. And the fact that Bandai Namco is splitting off and naming a very specific studio for that collaboration, I think just builds more credence to the fact that we are getting Mario Kart 9 and a new Super Smash Bros. Probably pretty soon. I mean, I say soon tentatively, but probably with the next Nintendo console. I believe that the next Mario Kart game will be a launch title for that, and maybe also the next Smash game as well. And it's a game that maybe you could use the Switch Online N64 controller. Hey, they're back in stock, ladies and gentlemen. By the time of this release, they may as well not be in stock. But as of this morning, the 14th, Tuesday, they were in stock. So hey, hurry up and get over there if you want one. It's Black Friday season too, so we've got many purchases coming up. One more thing final, and we'll talk more about the purchasing thing, the Black Friday thing, next week. Indie World was today. I mentioned earlier that I am not necessarily well versed with indie gaming. It's not something that I purposely stay away from. It's just not something that I've ever been, well, exposed enough to. So, Indie World, it's a showcase for Nintendo. It's similar to a Nintendo Direct, except it's all indie games. So if you are unfamiliar, now you may be a little bit more familiar, and we'll talk about some of the games that were announced or talked about there. Shantae Advance, Risky Revolution 2024, an unfinished Game Boy Advanced sequel has finally been revived. I know a lot of people will be excited about that. I never played. I think it's Shantae. I'm familiar with it, from a concept. I've never played it. I've never known anyone that's really played it, but I have heard of people loving it, and I'm happy for them. Core Keeper, also in 2024, a dungeon crawler and life sim. Very neat. The art looks cute. On Your Tail 2024, timed console exclusive, which is a narrative life sim with anthropomorphized characters, features detective and mystery elements. Cute. I mean, really, you could say for all of these announcements, all of these games, they look cute, except Blade Chimera looks a little dangerous, for lack of a better word, but all good, none the same. Very good. This reminds me of Pokemon Moonstone Island, spring 2024. Immediately, what I assume to be a screenshot from the game itself looks, very Pokemon-like. Scrolling down, so indie games are games that I wish that I had dedicated more time to over the last decade or so. Going forward, I do have plans of getting on that train, so to speak. Obviously, I operate a YouTube channel that could be very well where you're listening or watching this. If you're on Spotify, I have a YouTube channel, and it's predominantly focused around some of the mainline Nintendo games. It's all Nintendo games on the YouTube channel. But one thing I'd love to incorporate is perhaps a weekly trial, for lack of a better word, where I play the first 15, 20 minutes of a random indie game or a recommended indie game, because I would love to broaden my horizons and help garner any small semblance of visibility to a lot of these games with passionate developers and teams behind them that absolutely deserve to have their hard work realized, appreciated, and brought to the masses. So there you have it. Those are the news and headlines for the week of 11/20/2023. It's the week of 11/14/2023. I know how to speak English, gosh darn it. And now I have a very, very special segment that I'm very excited to deliver upon you. And they are guests of mine. Do you know who they are? You probably know who they are. You know them as Two Birds with One Game, or Adam and Sophia, or you might not know them at all. Either which way, they're my guests this evening. Adam, Sophia, thanks for joining me.
Yo!
Thanks for
man,
us.
totally. Thanks for having us. We're super happy to be here. And I love the intro with that. You made us feel very special.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone deserves a little bit of red carpet, right?
Absolutely.
So Two Birds with One Game. Funnily enough, I think I first saw you guys on Reddit, in maybe the Let's Play subreddit.
Oh, yep.
And I've always been curious ever since I first came across you guys. How did that even originate?
It's a really funny story. So I think us, like a lot of folks, grew up watching a lot of Let's Play stuff. And maybe back then we didn't always feel like we had the ability to do it. When I was 15 years old watching Game Grumps and Peanut Butter Gamer and Chugga Conroy, I was like, that'd be so cool, I'll do that one day, and it never did. And literally, myself and Sophia, we were already in a relationship, and one day I was watching very old Kid Icarus episodes. If you don't know who that is, check him out, he's a great YouTuber. And I was like, man, this is reminding me of the good old days, I'd love to start a channel. And I even have...
Second.
Yeah, we can do that, right? I even have the text thread of me texting Sophia at 6 in the morning being like, do you want to do a Let's Play channel?
And it was 6 in the morning.
Because at the time you were doing some streaming, right?
Yeah, it was, I had done maybe 2 or 3 Twitch streams, and I wasn't super confident in my abilities. I was just kind of unsure. So having someone else to do it with was like, oh, that would be so much easier to just talk about stuff.
Obviously, when it first started out, it was like, a little shakier. Like I go back and watch episode 1 and 2, and I'm just like, I can't even think about that. Let alone doing it by myself, because I would like run out of stuff to talk about. Frankly, that's one of the things I admire about your channel so much. How like your commentary and your voice work for all the characters, like in like your Mario, Paper Mario Let's Plays. I'm like, wow, you're really bringing all this to life. I could never do that. I need Sophia to play off of. That's kind of how it got started. Two unconfident people coming together and making
Combining
like
our
one.
confidence to make one confident.
One full Let's Player, maybe like 75% of a Let's Player.
There we go. By our powers combined. Love it. So
Totally.
how did you guys, I guess, go with the name that you have? Was that from the beginning? Was that sort of an evolution over the course of the channel? Like, what did that look like?
You want to talk about this, Sophia?
We definitely made it, like when we started the channel. We're kind of throwing around a couple of different names. A lot of the prototype names, I guess, that we came up with were kind of limiting to what we wanted to do. I think one of the names was like retro gaming or something along the lines. Hookshot gaming was one of the ones we kind of came up with.
Get that Zelda item angle, like
There we go.
boots and your hidden blocks. Yeah.
But all of them were kind of just falling flat to what we wanted to do. I think we initially made the channel wanting to play like each other's childhood games that we might have missed, and we were able to do a lot of that towards the beginning, especially. But the name I feel like it works well for everything.
It kind of does, yeah. I mean,
There's two of us.
Yeah, two of us, two birds with one stone.
It's a pun.
Two birds
That
with
is
one
true.
game, yeah.
I love it.
The only downside is it's a little long for a search engine term, so that good old search engine optimization is not to our benefit. But
That's funny
I think
you
we're
mentioned
sticking to
that.
it.
Do you guys ever, I know you can see like analytics around what search terms are bringing individuals to your channel or your videos specifically. Do you ever get anyone searching for, I don't know, like nature videos?
So I'm an analytics like junkie. Like I'm on that stuff way more than I should be. But no, I'll see like a lot of like animal things that are related to like birds in general, or two birds with one stone. There is definitely an achievement on some Xbox game called Two Birds with One Stone, because that stuff gets linked to us all the time. So I'm like, hey, happy to bring it in. The only downside is like it's a little bit long of a name. But
That's
The
fair.
acronym's okay.
the acronym's okay. You got your T-bog. You got your T-bog. That's kind of how I justified in my head. I'm like, that's a short version of it.
I like it. I like it a lot. And hey, any traffic is good traffic, right? Maybe they're not looking for
Exactly.
Let's
Totally.
Plays, but they come, they click. That's good to know.
Definitely.
So obviously, your branding is around that, and I absolutely love what you guys are doing in terms of art. As I understand it, Sophia, you're really responsible for that.
Yes. We definitely talk about what we want the channel to look like together, but ultimately I do all of the art stuff when it comes to visuals. Anyway, yeah.
Would you?
It's cool because I've always seen like what she's obviously been drawing way longer than the channel's inception, so it's funny to be like, I think this would look cool, and I have no artistic ability in the drawing or like
You help.
composition sense. I help in the most minor of ways.
I'll get little sketches and doodles every once in a while, especially for thumbnails when we're trying to figure out what we want and just if words aren't really getting it across all the way.
I'll give Sophia like the worst stick figure drawing of Sonic the
But
Hedgehog.
it helps.
And she's like, oh, I know what you want to do now. And then she makes it happen, which is awesome.
That is great.
The original artwork process is so cool too, because we have our big special episodes where we're like, man, this was really good. We have to have like a
The specialized
unique,
thumbnail.
like a drawn from scratch thumbnail, but Sophia knocks it out of the park every time. Our avatars, so we have a lot of edits in our videos. That helps, like, say, hey Sophia, let's make a me with a this facial expression, or me looking this way, or our favorite avatar, the Family Guy death pose with the arm like flopped over. Like she can just make that happen. It flows so well. I love that about the channel for sure.
Again, the powers combined. I think it's incredible. Really.
Totally.
I think you guys are
Just happened
definitely.
to line up really well.
Well, I think we should all be thankful for it, and especially as more people find the channel, because I do think you guys are, definitely something worth discovering.
Oh,
So-
thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's funny because you mentioned the way that we came in contact with each other initially was on Reddit,
Mm-hmm.
and that's back when I was like, how can we get the little bit of exposure that we can off these things, and what are some other folks doing?
Like, for
And
example,
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of creativity to be seen
Oh, yeah.
on that subreddit. The landscape of YouTube is so weird these days because
it's so
I think-
vast and ugh.
yeah, it's vast and weird, and frankly, like LP, I think if you were doing what you're doing right now 10 years ago, you'd be like a chart topper,
Absolutely.
because I think your style and brand wasn't as prevalent back then, just like with a lot of new Let's Players and new YouTubers. And now that we've become in this like oversaturated time, it's harder to stick out, but it's cool to see that talent is still like everywhere, either on a Let's Play subreddit or like a random thing gets suggested. So
That's a great point.
we're
man.
always hoping to grow.
No, it really is, and I appreciate that because I do consider myself to be more in line with that whatever older school style of Let's Play. But with that in mind, and this isn't necessarily something I actually plan on talking with you guys about, but since it got brought up, where do you guys think the direction of gaming content on YouTube is headed? Like, I'd be curious to hear your opinions on that.
Whew. I wish I could answer, man, back to good old couch co-op Let's Plays, but I think I'd be lying.
Right.
It seems kind of stagnant at the moment, especially with Let's Play content. Like, I feel like I don't really hear of any more new people doing Let's Plays. I'm very much I watch video essays all the time on YouTube anymore.
Yeah, no,
which are fantastic, but
it's definitely a genre that's not done
it's a lot
as
different.
much. I mean, personally, from what I've seen over the past, like, I'll say 7 or maybe like 6 or 7 years is more accurate. I mean, it's about your face cams, it's about your reaction, it's about your heavy hitting.
It streams.
Yeah, and streams, but your heavy hitting
Big time.
games. So your Minecraft, your Five Nights at Freddy's, your Grand Theft Auto, your GTA 6 coming out. That's gonna explode probably. There's a lot of trend chasing, and I don't say that as a derogatory thing because it's folks' genuine passion. And
People like trends are there for a reason. They have a lot of people behind them that want to watch that kind of content.
Totally, there's a reason that it's that stuff raking in millions of views an hour pretty much. But I think it's gonna keep on that track for a while. At the same time, I think that there will become a point where things are so oversaturated that the folks that are producing the content are gonna have to switch it up. And eventually it's gonna be like on them because we don't get to write that story. It's kind of like YouTube and these upper like echelon of content creators with higher followings kind of get to decide what's gonna be the new like in thing. So that's I guess my mentality.
I think you both raise good points, and honestly, it's very similar to what I was thinking as well. What becomes the issue, I guess, for channels like mine and maybe yours as well is trying to find a way to still produce what it is that you're passionate about, but while also trying to cater yourself towards that, that wave, so to speak, not trend chasing, but staying relevant in a way.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tough balance to strike when it's like, why did any of us do this? Why do any of us make these videos or play these games and record ourselves and think like, well, this thing has value? Well, it's because we genuinely believe in the thing that we do, but it's tough when and like
Watch that.
yeah, you
all
see
the
that
time.
happen and you're like, man, all I have to do is tweak my my videos and my material and my content to this thing, and I can maybe pull in more people. But I guess for me, and I think a little bit for you, Sophia, too, it's like, well, if I'm doing that, am I really being true to myself? It's not to put down those games and those creators, but it's like, that's what they want to do, and I have, massive respect for that. But this is what I want to do, I want to play stupid little Disney princess game for the Game Boy Advance, like I want to play a short little for the PlayStation 1 because it's just fun to me.
Yeah.
And is that truly how you guys go about it? I love that. You just, whatever we want to play, this is what we're going to do.
I wish.
We'll find.
I'll let you talk, Sophia.
Especially if it's like a game we used to have when we were kids, like see it in the secondhand like retro game store, like, oh, it's a Disney Princess for the GBA. I had that when I was 5. It's time to put it on the Retron and play it.
Totally.
And definitely some of our like shorter like one-off series goes like that. It's look at that, it's on the shelf right now. Grab it, we're gonna play it for 1 or 2 episodes. Boom.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a longer series. We put a little more thought into it for sure. But I mean, if it's a game, we've got a good chance to play.
Yeah,
Love it.
I went to the store last month looking for the new Sonic Superstars game. I said, man, I'm going to find Sonic Superstars. We're going to play it on stream. It's going to be great. And I went to the store.
Comes home with
I went to the store and I was like, you guys have Sonic Superstars? They were like, no. And I said, darn. And I love old licensed games. And I was walking out and I saw The Little Mermaid 2 for the PlayStation 1. And I said, I'll take this instead. So expect to see that eventually. I'm not even kidding. It'll be the best one-off of all time.
It'll be here. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's kind of our process, though. It's like, I guess it's a big, like, what we feel in the moment. I mean, we've definitely started off days. We record on, like, Saturdays most of the time. We're like, okay, we're going to do our 2 series that are going on. But then maybe I'll say, okay, Sophia, but get this. What if we actually played Jeopardy for the PlayStation 1?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like that. It's nothing if not genuine.
I love that. It's organic. It's real.
Very much so.
Exactly, yeah.
That's awesome.
Sometimes it's just the game you want to play.
Mm-hmm.
It's also like, I think of like Game Grumps playing like random, just the most random old like PlayStation games.
Oh yeah, your Mary Kate and Ashley's
Yeah.
GameCube and Game Boy Color. Yeah, it's
And
like.
those were honestly some of my favorite episodes.
Well, I think not to be, I guess, not jaded or too, I guess, business-minded, but I think there's value in that. And I think as we talk about, the trends or whatever the direction that gaming on YouTube is going, I still think that there will always be a place for genuine individuals just straight up doing what they want to do and having a great time. So good on you two for doing that. But with that in mind, I mean, conflating the two, right? How do you guys maintain your mental health while sometimes perhaps not seeing the sort of return that maybe you would expect, because you guys do produce some really, really good stuff?
Well,
Great question.
I was gonna say, number one, you saying we produce great stuff is that boosts my mental health right there. So thank you. How about I start with this one?
Go ahead, yeah.
So, I mean, it's difficult for sure, because we live in this age of being essentially everyone's like terminally online to
Fast content.
to some degree, and you gotta really make stuff quick for it to be seen. Essentially, I mean, we started out in 2021 doing 2 episodes a week. Now we do 3 episodes a week in one stream. Just try to keep up with that. But yeah, it's tough when you put a video together. I mean, I've spent like hours on videos that have like 20 views, and that's not always a great feeling. But if there's one thing I see from every single YouTuber that I've ever that's ever been asked the question of like, should I do YouTube, or how do you make money doing YouTube, or X, Y, and Z, it's like you can't go into it thinking it's going to be anything. You have to be doing it for your own reasons, because at the end of the day, if you seek that validation from a random viewer that is not really being put in your position, then you might not get that validation. It might hurt you in a way, and it might make you lose sight of what's really important. And I think an easy way that my mental health is kept up is, I think one day, regardless, me and Sophia, no matter where we are with the sub counts or what we play that week, or if we're even doing the channel anymore, we can look back and say, man, that was awesome. Remember when we did this really funny editor played this game, or did this vlog, or had this fun time. It's like, I know that one day I'll be able to go back and see multiple terabytes of 2 birds with one game stuff that at the end of the day were just memories. And hopefully get to read some nice comments to boot and laugh with some fans, even if they're few and far between.
The good work you put in.
Worst case scenario, we're still at the end of the day having fun playing video games, more or less, with just a bunch of extra work around it. But
a win's a win.
It's always that just proof that we did it. And especially, like, we don't have many, but we have a handful of really awesome fans that some of them have even made like their own content, like making compilations of ours, and that kind of stuff is just like, man, it's worth it.
Yeah, those little gestures make
incredible.
it supremely worth it. As great as it is to like look back ourselves, like when you do get that little bit of validation, and seeing your work has value, maybe not monetarily, but like sentimental value and comedic value to others, I'm like, that's just awesome.
A sense of accomplishment, for sure. I love that. Great responses to that. Goodness gracious. Well, that
Thanks.
segues in nicely to what I was wanting to get into after that. But what's your fondest memory creating on YouTube? Is it a compilation like that by the viewers or something else?
Ooh, fondest memory on
songs.
YouTube. If you don't have one yet, I can. You got one? You think?
I can't think of a specific one, but what's coming to mind is whenever something that takes way too long is happening, and we just end up going crazy just in the Let's Play room for a solid 45 minutes trying to figure out what this game is. We did that with Wind Waker recently.
Oh, God,
trying
yeah.
to get the speed in Wind Waker. Oh my gosh. I didn't know it was like that.
Oh, you're playing the Wii U version?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
There
are.
you
We
go.
are. So we were like, at the time, we were thinking like, oh, like
it'll
we're
be
gonna get
nothing.
this. We'll cut off
2
camera.
hours later.
Yeah, like we'll cut off camera and we'll spend 20 minutes and get this, and then the rest of the Let's Play is gonna go way faster. Like Sophia said, 2 hours of gambling. And yeah, no, I mean those compilations are great. Those moments are really funny. A lot of those have been super cut. So if you ever watched the episode, if fans ever watched the episode, they can see like, oh yeah, this was like 30 minutes that was condensed down. My fondest memories are typically those really funny edits, but some of our videos that actually aren't Let's Play videos, we have 2, I guess like 2.5 technically, but I'll say 2, essentially vlog-style live action videos. One was our 500 subscriber special, to where we said, okay guys, 500 subs, it's a Q&A. There are no limits to how many questions you guys can ask. We will answer every single one. 78 questions later, 2 to 3 weeks of editing later, and an hour-long video later, we have a really cool piece of work to go back to. And then the second one was, I want to say it was a little impromptu for this idea, but Sophia and I went to Disneyland last summer, and we made a little like 8-minute vlog video on that, heavily edited again. And I think being able to show our fans and show the world, like, hey, this is what we do, like, in our real life, and here's our sense of humor outside of this couch we're sitting on right now, actually.
Not complaining about Sonic Frontier.
Yeah, those make really, really fond memories. And I'll throw a little bonus one in. As folks that have watched our videos may see, Sophia is a very reserved young lady, very calm. So seeing her get super mad is the highlight of any recording session, because it just truly kills me.
Brings out the best, I'm sure.
It does,
Absolutely.
it does.
The best and the worst.
Well, I love it. You guys are great, first and foremost, and we are just about up on time here, which is unfortunate, but I wanted to ask one final question for both of your brains here. If you were to start over, or if you were to speak to someone who is just getting started creating in general, doesn't have to necessarily be Let's Plays, what advice would you give them?
That's a great question.
You just gotta do it.
Yeah.
You can't think about any of the numbers or nothing, or I'm definitely a person that gets caught up in the details, for sure. And YouTube and capture cards and everything, all of the equipment and all the little things you need to like actually capture a Let's Play and then get it online is so much information that just go for it.
Yeah, I think you have to do it for you. Like, I mean, I'll be honest, we could start over right now knowing everything we know now. We'd probably be in a pretty darn similar situation to where we are right now. I mean, it's the almighty algorithm, you know? Like, there is no, here's how you be successful. There might have been, here's how you be successful 10 years ago.
Yeah.
With,
it's
you know,
just,
XYZ brand of content, but it's the modern day, I think.
There's things you can do to improve your chances with, like, search engine optimization, but that's just all.
Yeah,
it's
you
all
should be
random.
doing it because you want to have fun doing it, and you create something that you're like, I'm gonna be happy I did this regardless if anyone's watching. And if you can have that mentality for yourself going forward in anything you create, Let's Play or otherwise, you're just gonna be a happier person for it.
Absolutely.
So just go for it.
You
Nothing
heard
to
it here.
lose.
Yep, nothing to lose.
You want to
Worst
do
case
it?
Scenario, delete the video. Just get rid of it.
Well, you can always get rid of it.
Yep.
If you're listening, if you're curious about doing anything at all, you heard it here first. Adam and Sophia, 2 birds with 1 game. Just do it. You can catch them on their channel. Adam, Sophia, you guys want to plug yourself?
Totally. We have Twitter and Instagram. We'll put the links in the description, I guess, or LP will, I should say. We're still working on our Sonic Frontiers and Legend of Zelda Let's Play, which are almost about to come to an end. And we're going to be starting new video games on the Let's Play channel very, very soon. We stream every Wednesday at 6:30, and we have videos...
EST.
Yeah, Eastern Standard Time, thank you. And we have videos every Monday, Friday, and Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Sophia, aren't you...
I also do commissions as well if you ever need a little artwork here or there.
Sophia's got a store on Etsy and a store on Redbubble. You can buy some stuff from her and also reach out to her for commissions. And she's going to crush it like she crushes everything else.
If you guys don't do it, I might. But I highly encourage everyone, go check them out. They're awesome. Great people, great content, great work ethic. Thanks again, guys.
LP, thanks for having us, man.
Thank you so much.
The first two of what will be many guests going forward, presumably on a monthly, if not more frequent, basis. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, go check them out. Anyways, let's bring back the background and the browser. Because for the final segment, I want to talk about Mario RPGs. Because obviously, Super Mario RPG, the re-release, the remake, comes out in 3 days. We talked about that briefly at the beginning of the podcast. And it's something I'm very excited for. Truly, I hope that this is a harbinger of things to come. What with Thousand Year Door getting a re-release as well in 2024. So I've pulled up the Wikipedia for the list of all Mario role-playing games. Excuse me, just so that we can get a full picture of what we have. So the very first one is Super Mario RPG, right? Released in 1996. Jiminy Christmas, I am old. I'm old! And then Mario Golf Advance Tour is listed in here as an RPG as well as Mario Tennis. I don't necessarily... Where do we draw the line between RPG? These are like sports games. I don't know that I want to count those. Someone tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't necessarily know that that makes a lot of sense. So we'll count Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, and we'll move on into Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door, Super Paper Mario, Sticker Star, Color Splash, and Origami King. Of course, several of those people will also debate whether or not they are true RPGs, but since they are classified as Paper Mario games, I think we'll let them fly. And then the Mario and Luigi series, which is not a series that I've actually played enough of. I've played some amount of Superstar Saga, actually currently in the process of beating it, and I need to play some more of that, actually. Good reminder, note to self. But we have that. We have the sequel, Partners in Time, then Bowser's Inside Story, then Dream Team Paper Jam as well. So 5 titles in that series. Very good. Those are all games that I need to give some more time to. Mario plus Rabbids series apparently as well is an RPG with Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle and Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, actually relatively recently released. And then you got into remakes, which are not necessarily, I don't know, counted in this overall count, but everything else, we have darn near a dozen total Mario RPGs with varying levels of success and reception by the greater, gaming community. Mario RPGs, I don't feel, have gotten the level of love or appreciation that they deserve, specifically Paper Mario, right? And I really do hope with the new Thousand Year Door remake coming out here in less than a year, I'd have to imagine, I hope that sparks some change. Are you going to buy it? I'd be curious to know how many of you are thinking about buying the remake. I am going to, even though I just replayed Thousand Year Door earlier this year and beat it on the GameCube. I think that we as fans of the series, of the franchise, can show our support to Nintendo by participating in that. And what's more, I mean, I'm not even just saying this just to, support the company or whatever, or the idea that Paper Mario is a good franchise, but it's going to have added benefits, of course, right? It's not just a re-release. It is a remaster. It looks beautiful. I'm very curious to see what has changed. There's already been a few screenshots of things in Mario RPG that people have noticed have changed. Granted, a lot of them are just purely visual, some signage in the game, some things like that. But still, it makes for a slightly more unique experience. And if you're a fan of the franchise, a fan of Mario RPG specifically, ultimately, I think it's a no-brainer. We got to buy them and cross our fingers, toes, our eyeballs that Nintendo hears our pleas and delivers upon us more Mario RPGs. And that's what I'm hoping for today. So, thank you so very much for watching. I do appreciate it and hope that you enjoyed yourself. My name's LP. I play Nintendo games and I talk a lot. Obviously. Right? Case in point. Today, I do the podcast every Tuesday. Otherwise, Let's Plays every single day and streams on Friday. Either which way, I'm just glad you were here today, and I hope that I hear you, see you, speak to you again tomorrow.